Okay, so now we are going to take a look at this worksheet, verb tense contrast. So let's look at the pictures and complete the sentences about the Gomez family. Use the present perfect or present perfect continuous. So you can see Louisa, Mary, Pete, and then the whole family. And you can see each of their activities and also the time frame. So let's take a look at number 1. It's 4:30 p.m. Louisa has been doing her homework for 30 minutes. As you can see, she started at 4 o'clock and she's still doing it. She's going to continue until 5:30, so we have to use present perfect continuous tense. So again, Louisa has been doing her homework for 30 minutes. And this is actually a big hint here, for 30 minutes. It's a duration. So that shows you that you need to be using present perfect continuous tense. So go ahead and pause the video and take some time to finish the sentences, and then you can continue. Okay, so let's look at number 2. It's 5:15 p.m. Mary, and you can see that she, let's try that one more time, has been talking on the phone for 15 minutes. Okay, she's still talking on the phone, so this is also present perfect continuous tense. Okay, and then number 3, it's 5:30 p.m. Louisa, so back to Louisa, and you can tell that, or you can see that she has just finished her homework. Louisa has just finished her homework, so this is present perfect tense. Oops, sorry about that. Okay, and again, just is optional, so you don't have to say just. You can say Louisa has finished her homework, but if it's 5:30, then she recently, in just a moment ago, so it's a good idea to use just. Okay, number 4, it's 6 p.m. Mary, and in this case too, we can see that she has finished or just finished talking on the phone. Mary has finished talking on the phone. Okay, and then number 5, it's 6:10 p.m. So let's look over here. Pete has been cooking dinner for 40 minutes. And again, that's the hint. So we use present perfect continuous tense. Pete has been cooking dinner for 40 minutes. And then number 6, it's 6:30 p.m. Pete has just finished cooking dinner. Okay, Pete has just finished cooking dinner. And then 6:30, or I'm sorry, it's 6:40 p.m. Oh my goodness, I'm sorry about all these notifications. Okay, so again, it's 6:40 p.m. Pete, Louisa, and Mary, okay, have been eating dinner for 10 minutes. And in this case, we need to use have because this is third person plural. Okay, they have been eating dinner for 10 minutes. They started at 6:30 and it's 6:40 now. Okay, and then it's 7:35 p.m. Okay, so it's 5 minutes after they have finished. So we can say Pete, Louisa, and Mary have finished dinner. Or you can say have finished eating dinner if you want. Okay, so actually, for this one, I'm going to put it in parentheses because it is optional. You can just say have finished dinner. Okay. And let's go ahead and go on to the next activity. So letter B, complete the sentences. Pam has been baking bread for 2 hours. And again, this is a big hint, for 2 hours. Okay, so I'm going to give you some time to complete this activity. So you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's do number 2. Gino and Teresa have been cleaning the windows for 1 hour. And again, this is a hint. So they have been cleaning and are still cleaning the windows. So present perfect continuous tense. Number 3, we have opened the front door of the store. Okay, so when you open something, that's just a one-time action. You cannot continue to open something if it's a door especially. So this one we use present perfect tense. We have opened the front door of the store. Number 4, Tam and Luis have finished eating breakfast. So this one as well. Finishing is a one-time activity or event. You cannot continue to finish something. When you're finished, you're done. You're finished. So we also use present perfect tense. And then number 5, I have been talking on the phone for 20 minutes. Okay, and you're still talking on the phone. So this is present perfect continuous. And then finally, Sonia has arrived at work. So arriving is also a one-time activity. So we use present perfect tense. Sonia has arrived at work. Okay. Now finally, we are going to do exercise C. You can see here a chart, and the first question is, it is Saturday at 11 a.m. What have you been doing? So that means you are still doing this activity. So think about what you normally do on Saturday, and Saturday at 11. So think about what you... okay, so you have to pretend that it is actually Saturday. So what have you been doing? And then for the second category, it says it is Saturday at 11 p.m. What have you done today? So 11 p.m. Is of course night, usually close to bedtime. What have you done? So you're finished with everything. So we use present perfect tense in this case. So you can make a sentence about yourself. And then in this case, it says your friend, but of course, you probably haven't been able to meet up with friends very much. So you can talk about one of your family members or your children. So in that case, you would use the plural. Take some time to do this activity as well. And also you can continue, you can pause and continue. Okay, so I have written some examples here, and for the first category, this is my own example. I wrote, I have been taking care of my son since early morning. And that is true, all night, in fact. But I actually wanted to use since to show you that you can use for or since to show duration. And if you remember, since we use since with a specific moment or time. So as you can see here, since early morning, or we can say since 7 o'clock, since yesterday. Those are specific moments. And when we use for example here, for 2 hours, we use it with duration. So a certain length of time. Okay, so again, we use for with a duration or length of time, and then we use since with a specific moment in time. Okay, I wrote, I have been taking care of my son since early morning. This is present perfect continuous. Okay, and then it is Saturday at 11 p.m. What have you done today? And for this one, I used the example of my son, Silas. So I wrote, Silas has just had his last feeding of the day. Okay, he usually has his last feeding between 10:30 and 11 p.m. You can see that I use present perfect tense. Silas has just had. So of course, as I mentioned, just is optional, but if he eats around 10:45 or 10:30 or 10:45, it usually ends after about 25 or 30 minutes. So it ends around 11 o'clock. So it's a good opportunity to use just. It's a good way to use just. So I can say Silas has just had, and had is the past participle of have. So Silas has just had his last feeding of the day. And then in this case, I used the example of my husband, not my friend, but my husband. So, and also on Saturday, he just rests. So I wanted to use a more useful example, more helpful example. So I used Friday instead of Saturday for my husband. So I put, my husband has been working at his computer for 2 hours. As you know, he's a teacher, so he also has to teach online, and he needs to be monitoring his computer for messages and be available for available to help students from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. So if it is 11 a.m. on Friday, that means he has been working at his computer for 2 hours. Okay, so as you can see, in this case, I used 4. Okay, and then it is Friday at 11 p.m. What has he done today? So I wrote, my husband has met with each of his students online today. So on Friday, he always meets with each of his students to review any missing homework or remind them or give any announcements. But he meets them in the morning and early afternoon hours. So if it's 11 p.m., then we don't need to use just. It would be incorrect to use just in this case. So we can just say, my husband has met with each of his students online today. Because it's already finished, and in fact, it finished a while ago, quite a while ago. So we can use has met. Okay. Now, in this case, it's actually probably better to use past tense because 11 p.m. and early afternoon has a big gap. So we generally use has met or a present perfect tense with very recent events. It's still okay because it happened today. So like Friday at 11 p.m. and he usually ends at Friday around maybe 4 p.m., 3 p.m., 4 p.m. So it's still okay to use present perfect tense. But I just wanted to let you know that we usually use it for recent events. Okay. So anyway, that is the end of this lesson. So I will see you for lessons C and D next time. Okay.